Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy.
Where we give you the courtesy of conversation.
That's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show.
So D-Mac.
Yes.
This whole border wall situation.
Getting wild.
What's your take on it?
Yo, man, I think it's close to a civil war what's going on right now. It's like a hotbed topic where, the right, they're using that as their calling to each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're bringing National Guard troops from Florida and Arizona, and they're bringing them all to Texas. So if people don't realize what's going on right now at the border, Greg Abbott, they kicked out the Border Patrol agents, which are federal agents.
That's the governor.
The governor of Texas. They
Greg
kicked
Abbott.
out the Border Patrol agents that are federal and sent down the National Guards. The National Guards put up barbed wire fencing, you know what I'm saying, to stop the migrants from coming through Eagle Pass.
Okay.
And so what made it an issue is that some migrants, a woman and two children, were coming across the water and they started to drown. And they wouldn't lift up the barbed wire to let the Border Patrol agents go in there and save them because they got the call from the Mexico side, like, yo, the people are drowning. So that became an issue. They took it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, yo, you got to get rid of the barbed wire fencing and let the Border Patrol agents in there. Greg Abbott said,
When did it become like a issue of do you save a person's life or not? When did that become like a hot button issue? When did that become a contentious thing in our country? That's kind of crazy right there that they would stop them from going to save a few people's lives because they were not from this country.
Yeah, because they can't understand what they're saying. That's all it is. They're not from here. It's crazy to be like, oh, you're an illegal alien. No, you're a human. But, like I was saying, Greg Abbott wrote a letter to the president. He said, no, we are under attack right now from a foreign enemy, which he's saying that migrants are coming in because, migrants are from everywhere. They're not just from South America. They're from everywhere. So he wrote the letter to them and he basically took over the National Guard and he's in full command. And so the other states, there's about 20 states that have also aligned with them over this border issue. And a couple of them states are sending their own National Guard. And so people in D.C. are telling, Joe Biden, they're like, yo, you need to federalize the National Guard down there, which I didn't know they weren't federalized, and take them away from Greg Abbott. And he's stalling on it because he knows what it is. It's
tactic.
It's a
tactic right now to try and, to push. It's a political tactic. We right now, if you really look at it, of course, there has been a border crisis for a very long time. But when we talk about borders, we never talk about the northern border. We only talk about our southern border. I'm sure there are a lot more people flooding in through the southern border because by default and through various things of history, that's the side that's been more impoverished than the other side. You know? So that's what's kind of politicized the whole thing is what kind of people are coming in. We've always made this into a divisive issue, an issue of poor versus people with a little bit of money, different
ethnicities,
black versus white,
yes,
brown versus white, whatever the case may be. It's always been that way. And if we really look at it, a lot of these states that are turning this into an issue have benefited and are still benefiting from immigrants and migrant workers. They benefit with them through agricultural work. They benefit with them through just even homework, work at their homes, whether it's people who are cleaning homes, people who are working in lawn care,
all kinds of different jobs, even fast food jobs. People don't want those jobs. They don't want to work in the back somewhere sweating, cooking burgers
people
for people
who are building homes. They're building homes. A lot of these people are working every day just in carpentry work, doing a lot of jobs that people we're able to pay a lot less for. Businesses are in business because of these people. A lot of times, and we don't want to talk about those things, but we'll always talk about, oh, we're under attack. This has been going on for a very long time. To take it to the level that you're taking it to right now is more based around hyperbole and politicizing it. Because now there's a bipartisan bill on the table.
Yes.
To where both parties have come together and agreed to this bill. And now all of a sudden, since the candidate, which we want to say
Donald Trump, he wants to run off that. So he's telling Republicans don't vote for it. Now think about that, folks. We have a bill here to fix the border problem, but he wants to run on it. So he's like, don't fix it now.
Which is leading us into a point to where you have state and federal conflict. You know what I mean? If you're willing to do that, to put yourself in power, look at who we're dealing with as a person here. We don't really recognize what we have in front of us.
Yeah.
When you say that you hope that, it was kind of put into a situation where I hope that it happens before I get in office. Like, what do you, I don't want to be looked at as Herbert Hoover. Come on, man. Everyone already knows that you've had more job losses, and you were one of the only presidents that's had job losses during their administration.
Yeah.
You're one of the only ones. I mean,
but also it's a hotbed issue too, because it's sparking words of a civil war. And so people don't understand nowadays, like people say civil war, some people want it, some people don't. You have to understand this. It's not going to be North versus South. It'll be neighbor versus neighbor. You know what I'm saying? It'll be friends and family against each other.
We've gotten to a point to where we're starting to believe so heavily in people. I've never seen anything like we're seeing right now with this presidential run, and with this issue is becoming, it's more of an issue of shithole countries versus people we would like to have here.
Yeah.
This is what it boils down to. It's been said to us. We have to pay attention to what's being said and what's being done. The laws are being put in place, what they're pushing for and what they're pushing against. And for us to believe that these people can smile on our face and say something funny, but they don't mean what they say. They mean every single word of what they say. They've told you. They don't want Haitians in here because they're from shithole countries. But we'll take a person from Finland, Norway, Sweden. Pay attention to what's being said, and then pay attention to what. As soon as I get into office, I'm gonna immediately do a Muslim ban. I call it a Muslim ban. Like, I thought we were a nation of that did not, they say, under God, but at the end of the day, you're allowed. It's a freedom of religion, freedom of whatever you want to have. So you go off and automatically say, I'm banning people from Muslim countries.
Yeah,
like most of those countries are. Who are they? People of color. It's just it gets to a point to where if you don't start paying attention, it's not about screaming racism. It's about understanding where this country is going. We're either gonna turn ourselves into the iPhone, or we're gonna become Motorola. If we don't look at what the future is becoming, look at the nations that are gaining strength right now.
Dang.
Look at who we're worrying about.
Yeah, Motorola's out here catching strays right now.
It's done.
Yeah,
it's done. I mean, they didn't evolve. When you don't evolve, you don't look at the future. This is what happens to you. We're stuck in a time frame of trying to make something great again that's done and over with. That there are, what we were as a country and how things used to be. The old world order is finished. You look at who has power now, who's gaining power now, who's stepping up into the world scene. It's people who look like us. Pay attention, and now we have to evolve as a country and get out of our old ways of thinking that it's only about the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and people like that. Now it's into, like, hey, we need to make friends in South America. We need to make friends in Africa. We need to make friends in Asia. And so this is what I know. We have them. Don't get me wrong, but we've never treated them as equals. We treat them as little brothers. Oh, you're my that's the little homie right there, pretty much. And you pat him on the head like one of the dudes you see, you rub his head, kind of like how LeBron does certain players when he sees them. Pat him on the head. You got to quit treating people like that, because right now the world is changing. So we as a country don't change and don't see that the reason why we have a positive birth rate in this country, which tells you where your country is heading. There's a lot of reason why a lot of these countries are wanting to go to war with us, because they have negative birth rates. A lot of things you need to look up. Yeah. It's deeper than just, why are countries attacking? Why are countries going to war right now? They have to. They're really in a point where they have to go to war. But
and so also, ladies and gentlemen, to get back on it, what do you think about the border crisis? Do you think what Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, is doing is right? Do you feel the migrants should have a way to come into the country legally? Do you think we should just let them all in? Let us know. Comment, like, share, subscribe.
Let me ask you. Before we cut out. Do you think that we should? How do you think that we should handle it?
I think I liked what Donald Trump did. He's like, "Yo, stay over there, don't come into America, and then file your paperwork." I don't think we should just be letting, because they're not all coming from Mexico. That's one thing. People think they're all Mexico and South American people. They're not. You know what I'm saying? There's people from Haiti. There's people from Africa. There's people from the Middle East. There's people from Asia. They're all coming up through that southern border, and we just don't know who's coming in. So I'm like, everybody should.
Too. We need to secure the border. That should not be an issue, but it should not be painted in a divisive, racist way like it has been. That doesn't need to be. That's not an issue that we need to think about. Every country needs secure borders. Every country does that. So we should have no problem in doing it. But at the end of the day, there needs to be a pathway to citizenship, and it doesn't need to be barred to people from countries that we don't, undesirable nations that we feel are undesirable, that half the time we help create undesirability in that nation. It should be a pathway for everybody.
Yeah.
And I believe that too. I believe that people should have to stay in their countries and apply. But there is a flight to safety. They do have it to where people are, I can't remember the word for it. When you leave your country, like you're pretty much under duress, you have to leave your country, in fear of your life.
Yeah.
And Mexico doesn't have the infrastructure to keep them there. There has to be a way for us to be able to help in, with people coming into our country. We have a lot of room, a lot of space here. There's a lot of work here. there has to be a way for us to create a more amicable way for this to kind of go forward. That's how I feel
No,
about
I
it.
feel you on that. I feel you on that. Well, everybody, let us know how you feel about it. Once again, like, comment, share, and let us know how you feel in the comments. Once again, this is Uncommon Courtesy.